on?
Yeah, it's flashing.
Oh, it is, okay.
And I'll take really details, so.
All right, just in case. All right, please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Sorry. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. There's no public, no, am I writing that stuff? Is it regular?
Yeah, it's a regular meeting, but there's no public hearing.
Purposes only. We will, all right, I'll make a motion to open the meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Good evening,
Good evening.
formally. We will be, this will be an informational meeting because there was the little bump with the timing of it, but we wanted to get you in, we didn't want to have to make you wait. We won't make any take any formal votes tonight, with the exception of setting the public hearing for next month, and we'll get you in as quickly as we can.
Just for the procedural posture, to remind the board, the applicant was before us last summer. They had 2 requests for relief. At that time, we bifurcated the relief, so we split them in 2. The first question was, 1, whether they could have 2 separate buildings. We ruled and decided that they could. Based on that information, they went back to the planning board to refine their plans, and now they're back to you on what is or what it comes across as an area variance. So at this point, as you can see before you is a letter from Stephanie Tunick, the attorney for the planning board. They have declared lead agency for purposes of seeker, so they are going to undergo the seeker process. Once they conclude the seeker process, either with a negative declaration or a finding statement, we can take formal action by voting we can take formal action on the application. So I sent to everyone which I thought was easy to thank you, for the Dropbox link, which had some old documents, some new documents for the board, and I think on the applicant.
So can we give a quick overview presentation? Sure. So for the record, my name is Michael Morgante. I am the project engineer for this application for the Zoning Board of Appeals. Site's located at 61 East Main Street. It's about a stone's throw that way from here. And currently on the site, there's a White House which is operating as some type of multifamily building. The goal of the project is to remove that existing structure and in its place to construct 2 separate 7,000 square foot buildings that'll be for, again, residential multifamily use. So the site's in the OR district. We essentially meet all of the bulk area requirements. What we're here for before the board tonight is to essentially, in lieu of the commercial and retail offices, commercial and retail space we had on the first floor proposed in the original plan, we're looking to propose an additional 14 units in its place.
So all residential?
All residential, correct. I have the architectural plan here. I can put it up later if we need to take a look at it. But the site is served by water and sewer, so we have no issues with municipal connections there. As it relates to the planning process itself, we're pretty far down the road. We had a pretty detailed engineering review in the planning board meeting not too long ago, and comments that I received were indicative of the plan going in the right direction. So that's why we're here now again before the board tonight, because we feel that what we've got shown here is engineerable, so to speak. So we wouldn't need any other variances. Stormwater system's constructed. We can get fire trucks around the entire site for firefighting purposes. And so, you know, what we're looking for again is an additional dwelling unit yield. It's an increase of 14 units, again, in place of the commercial that we had originally started with 4 on the first floor. I mean, that's a general overview of the project at this point. I know the board's already seen the plan before. So if you got any specific questions or concerns for me as it relates to this, I'd be glad to answer it. And I'm sure Mr. Gibson can add to this also if you'd like to.
I'd just like to focus on one thing. The plan that we want to go away from and substitute for this plan is a plan that showed 7,000 square feet of residential use on the second floor of each building, and 7,000 feet of office space on the ground floor. And once we submitted that plan in conversations with really everybody in the town, they felt that a residential use of the entire property would be much better than this mixed use. But if we went to, but under the zoning code, the problem is that we can't convert that use to all residential without this board's permission. But what we're not proposing here tonight is bigger buildings or a more intense use. We're just asking that we have an all residential use instead of a mixed use. Now, the considerations that went into that were that if the permitted use was approved, we'd have more traffic generated, not less traffic. It would not be as pretty, you know, frankly, as an all residential use. It also would clash with the other multifamily residential uses that's all around it. Okay, so even though it's permitted, it's just not such a good idea. The second thing that was important to us was that we can't financially build a project that only has 14 units in it. You know, it just won't work. So if we have a practical difficulty, in order to have a successful project on that site, we have to have the units that we're proposing. And that's our difficulty here and what we're trying to solve. Now, we've presented, and also in conversations with the mayor, we've redesigned this project to push the buildings back off the street and to insert a park-like setting in the front, which we think will make it more conducive to the neighborhood. And when we have our public hearing, we'll make a full presentation on the 5 elements of the grant of the variance. But for tonight's purposes, I think the real issue is that we're seeking the variances because we think we're presenting a plan that is better than that's what's permitted in the zoning ordinance. And we're hoping you'll agree with us and go along.
I don't know, how do you feel, Denny?
Very happy with the way that this looks, especially from the street side. It looks much better, and I'm glad that it would be all residential. I think that that's really better than having it chopped up. I can picture lots of families being upset whenever the downstairs calls them up, keep your kids quiet. I'm trying to work down here. I like it. I like the way that it looks.
There's a real need for this housing in every community, everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what I was,
There's not enough of it.
no, that's what the inventory, as a realtor, the inventory is nil for housing, especially for rentals.
I'm thrilled to see it pushed back.
Yeah, especially for rentals.
So we rotated the buildings the 90 degrees that are shown to remove that massing from the street. So you don't see this one long, big building as you go by. And, you know, we worked with the village to incorporate that little park-like setting in the front, which I think the rendering does a nice job of. I think it'll have a real nice curb appeal when it's constructed.
What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, no, I like the proposed as opposed to the original one. I think it's a much better idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you go by so many office buildings and dependent upon what they are there for or sell or whatever, their windows have signs in them, and, you know, it's very haphazard. And I just think that also whether it's an attorney, whether it's a chiropractor, whatever the office space would be used for, would absolutely generate more traffic, and in and out constantly.
Right.
Residential
They're
will,
just living there.
will
They'll be
be,
leaving in the morning for school, they'll be coming
Right.
home and leaving for work and then coming home. It'll
correct,
be the same
yeah,
traffic at the same time as
Right.
the rest of the village.
right. And for the amount of people that are living there now and cars that I've seen there now,
This
I mean, it's going to be more, but there's cars in and out all
It's
over.
gonna be a real nice upgrade.
Uh,
That's there.
How many bedrooms in each unit?
Let me double check.
That was the only thing that I questioned.
So each unit looks like it
'Cause I
has,
think there was some 3 and some 2.
yeah, so if we're starting on the first floor, the unit up here all the way to the left has 1, 2 bedrooms, and on the second floor, that unit has 1, 2 bedrooms also. So I don't see any.
So they're basically
I don't
all
see any
2
threes.
They're all-
I don't see any
bedrooms.
threes, I believe they're all 2-bedroom units.
Okay.
Also, one other question, there's only one entrance and exit?
I mean,
This
this is still very preliminary.
Oh, okay,
In
gotcha.
terms of
That's
like,
fine.
working that portion of this out. I don't believe there's really one, I think.
It kind of looked to me like there was an in and an out
Yeah,
on the
there's,
computer. Like when I
there's
was
several
looking at-
doors.
I'm not talking about driveway.
No, drive.
Oh, a drum, yes, there is only one in and out.
Is that gonna be like separated as in and out and?
You'll have
You
a
think it's
turn,
gonna
well,
be-
Wide enough
it's
that,
wide enough, it's gonna be a Department of Transportation
Oh.
entrance. We have to get approval from the
Yeah.
DOT for that, and we've actually started that
And remember
process.
too, they're actually, he doesn't want to hear this, but they're at the relative start of the seeker process, so this is gonna go to DOT.
Yes.
It's gotta
Right.
get there's gonna be 239
Thank you.
referral, all that stuff. So part of it, we're kind of having a chicken or the egg when we
Right.
look these applications, and that's not picking on Mike or Brian.
No.
But, we're gonna give him that, they're using this opportunity if they walked in and we went, oh, that's the most awful thing ever.
it's a feeling the waters kind of thing.
And then at the conclusion, we can have a vote. My question, the back lot toward, is that gonna be, are we gonna restrict that? I know we're using it towards the
It's only being used for density right now, it's completely in the flood zone.
Okay,
The flood zone on the property actually extends all the way back over here to the back of the parking lot, so we can't practically develop this if we really wanted to.
okay. We
That-
might, as a mitigating factor, ask that, recommend to the planning board, because it would be the planning board's decision, that be included in a not a dedication, but a declaration, excuse me, because you're not using it anyway. And
You know, something like a
It would just
conservation.
prevent.
yeah,
prevent
conservation
future-
easement, something
yeah.
like
I
that.
don't think we'll have a problem.
No.
Knowing that you're getting the density
The
off
only
of
issue
it.
is gonna be that if we have to create additional flood zone, we reserve.
That's fine, but not that this will get developed down the road, but some knucklehead will go, oh, there's 2.3 acres back there, what can I do?
So that couldn't be, in what you're proposing, that extra parcel couldn't be sold off separately.
Well, no,
It
that would have
it
to
could,
be
but it
subdivided,
wouldn't be,
Well, it's two
If they
different,
could build, maybe they could additional buildings on it or
but it's two
something.
different parcels to start over with.
We're gonna merge them.
Right, they're merging,
before-
they're merging
yeah.
them
they're
together.
relying on that acreage for their density.
Right,
And so it has to get merged
It
together.
has to
to
be
get
has to,
merged.
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying
Right.
that as part of this,
Yeah.
an
Thinking ahead.
easy mitigation
Right.
is to give a conservation easement or
Yes.
some sort of declaration that it shall remain green, subject to, floodplain, and obviously if they need floodplain remediation or whatever, that's a nice, easy way, and a future owner doesn't go in and get grand ideas, and it's very clearly on the land records, what they, and then they come to us and they say, well, I wanna do this, and we all go, look at the land records, you can't do that. Right.
I just had one question about the seeker. It says, will proposed action, oh, wait a minute. Is the project located on a floodplain? Yes. But then you're saying that it will not, will stormwater discharge flow to adjacent properties? Well, yeah, it will. I don't care how big I'm not being argumentative, but if you were here during Irene, I don't care if you build a basin that has 14 million gallons to hold water. The water was up to, I mean, we were underwater totally. And even the basins, you're gonna be pumping out as it's coming in. There's no way to control it. Once the creek comes up, it covers everything.
I think the question is structured more such that, am I literally discharging stormwater onto like a neighboring parcel?
Okay, do you have drains, do you have?
Correct. I think
Okay,
that's really
that's
more-
what I had questioned about, because yes, the buildings are going to be more flooding in that area.
It'll,
It's going to take away from area that could absorb water. I mean, that's just a fact,
The theory is that we have an underground tank.
which will be nothing, which will
Well,
do
I guess what is it
nothing.
built up to? What
you
is it?
don't need me, you're doing great.
What is?
So what we have
what's the
proposed
deal?
there is called, it's an ADS storm tech system. And so what it does is it captures all the stormwater runoff from all the impervious surfaces, and it places it underground in these chambers, and it allows that stormwater to recharge back into the ground. Now, you have all sand and gravel soils here, because we're so close to the creek over
Yeah.
here. So,
Shale, yeah,
I did test pits over here 8 feet deep.
really,
Um,
that's great.
I mean, you could mine the property and use it as construction material, it's that
Wow.
good. So, we have the most ideal soil types, and I proposed the proper system to try to minimize any off-site runoff and to return the hydrology conditions to what they would be as close as I could prior to construction.
Your lower level, how far above the flood
Yeah.
level are they going to be constructed?
So,
Because not to disagree with your system and your plan, but having been a flood victim for 30 years, I know water came in 8 feet within an hour, and there's no way, as we're
I
pumping
remember
out.
when people were canoeing in
We were-
94
yeah,
and 208.
right.
I remember.
So that's one of my,
Yep.
it's one of my.
So just so you understand how it works, we're gonna have what are called tide gates on the outlets. And so it's basically a flat. It'll let water come out, and will not let water go in. So you will essentially have floodwaters all the way up to, like I mentioned before, roughly the back of the parking lot. The
Right.
system should not flood itself, you follow what I'm saying? Because everything in the parking lot and above is outside the flood zone as the FEMA flood maps show. So I'm using.
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's why I'm saying it, because I have other clients in the village who have said to me, yeah, it says 305, and I've seen it at 309, but I can only.
I'm just worried about the downstairs units, for your sake and theirs. I mean, as the
Yeah.
owner, flood insurance is,
So just so you're aware, I'll tell you what the elevations are. So apparently the 100-year flood elevation is 307. And the first floor elevations of both these buildings are 310.4.
okay.
So I'm almost 3.5 feet above, I only need to be 2 feet. So knowing how flooding occurs in Washingtonville, I've seen lots of things happen here. I tried to raise it up a little bit more.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
To give us a picture, I hope I'm not putting my foot in your mouth, but give us a picture. What is the elevation of Main Street?
Yeah, so Main Street itself is roughly about 310.
So Main Street would have to be flooded before.
It was,
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying, but you're getting an idea. You have floods that are 500-year floods, or that we had 1,000-year flood.
right.
People can't build around that because there wouldn't be any construction all over Toronto Hall. But we're at least got
No, I'm happy to
these
see
people up
that.
there as far as we can get.
Yeah. that's-
So even if that flood elevation's off a little bit, I've tried to add some
Up it
more.
a little bit
Yeah, a little
more
bit more.
even,
a
yeah.
little more.
Now, just for the residents, protection, that's all.
Oh, great.
It really is.
So what I've done is I followed all the protocol, I can tell you that we protect these
And then
people
went
with
above
flood
it.
insurance. You follow what I'm saying? So they can purchase flood insurance at be reasonably priced because I followed the protocol of keeping them at least 2 feet higher than what the mapped flood elevations are. So I mean, that's.
And just on a side note, that should be noted and that nothing to do with you.
Sure.
Probably should be noted when they're rented out.
Oh, it will have to be.
Yeah.
He'll have to get flood insurance for this,
Right.
and they won't give it to him unless I have designed it this way.
Okay.
Well, they will, but it'll be a whole different premium.
Well, it's federal, so
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's a set price. You can't shop around for that.
Yeah.
Just a question, and it's really not our business, but it looks like you have sidewalks going the whole length of the property, connecting to sidewalks on
Correct.
the other properties.
Yep.
It looks like where the driveway cut is, the sidewalks fade away right there, so that when you're getting into the building, there's no sidewalk?
So what happens is, if you can imagine, the sidewalks come in from either end and then they drop, call it like a drop entrance or a drop curve. They'll drop to the elevation of the actual driveway and it'll be a concrete sidewalk there, but it'll be flush with the elevation.
Right,
of the
but then
pavement.
as you coming into the property,
Yes,
so that the cars are coming into the property, will there be a sidewalk continuing along the side of the driveway coming in a little bit?
oh, I see, you're asking me if I'm gonna wrap that
Right.
around in, it hasn't been thought of as a design consideration, but I will now.
You know, the biggest, my guess is you're gonna have kids with bicycles, and then they're sharing
Driveway.
the driveway
Yeah,
with
that's actually-
multiple vehicles.
Good suggestion.
That's a good suggestion. Yeah.
And even if it's concrete versus asphalt, just to delineate,
Right.
so the kids know where they're supposed to be and not in the street.
Yeah. I like that it fades down too, for if you're walking.
Seriously.
I hate when you have to step down,
Yeah.
when you're walking on the sidewalks. That, I love that
Yeah.
fades down to the street.
That's
Well,
actually-
nice.
That's a good suggestion. I'll take that to the planning board and incorporate it probably into the design.
Yeah, that's
Makes
a
sense.
great idea, Jim. I'm very happy with this, but, one question, on, 8 and 9, and they showed three structures.
When you say 8 and 9, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 8 and 9 on the, computer.
I'm gonna come to the, I didn't bring all the whole set with me tonight.
Don't worry about it, next time.
Yeah.
I didn't print it out, there's 19 pages, so.
But yeah, I'll take a look at it. What was
In
the,
8 and 9, one showed 2 long structures, one showed 1 long structure, and it looked like 2 short.
Are you talking about this?
All those are the alternative plans.
Oh, that was the okay,
Yeah,
and
we're
I
no
was
longer-
looking back, okay, so you,
there's
nix
no longer,
that.
yes, correct. What,
Perfect.
what you see right here is what you're gonna.
perfect,
Mixed use office, plan.
yeah, okay. Like I said, I couldn't read the writing on the computer, I'm like, wait a minute, what am I looking at? Yeah, it looks,
Both buildings are identical?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so you only gave one, like, this is the fourth.
That's correct, that's correct, yeah. They're identical.
They're-
They're
okay.
identical.
But
So
they're gonna
they'll
be
be-
mirrored, they'll just flip.
Right, so there'll be a common
Right.
laundry in both buildings.
Correct, yes.
very good.
It's a good use of that space there.
Mhm.
It's a good use of the space there where that house is.
Yeah, no, I like the little.
I just finished a similar project down in Monroe on 310 Stage Road. Very similar, it came out real nice, and it was a significant improvement over what was there, which was a bit of a blight in that village. It was a nice upgrade, I think this will be the same.
Good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, thanks for
Do you
giving me
want
the
to
opportunity to
hang on a
speak.
second? Generally, our first meeting of the month is work session.
If we choose to hold them.
We can make it our regular, if you want to bring them back.
I won't have enough time.
Okay, then
Let's do-
it'll be
let's
the
do that.
third Thursday of March.
So it would be the 17th, because
17th.
it's 28 days.
St. Patrick's.
St. Patrick's
Patrick's
Day.
Day.
Oh,
Again.
yeah.
Oh,
We're doing
St.
this
Patrick's Day.
again on St. Patrick's Day. We did this last year on St. Patrick's Day.
That'll be the date of the scheduled public hearings.
Yeah.
do you want, we
I don't
if
think
you-
that that's a good idea, I'll be honest with you, because I don't think a lot of people are gonna come. Unless we make it the first weekend, I don't wanna make them wait. Is there a 4th Thursday?
I just don't know who else has the room, but I could do Thursday the 24th, but
We'd have to check on it, but we'll
we have
let
to
you
check
know.
on the room.
Can we let you know?
I can do the 17th.
I mean, I'll do the 17th, obviously, but you're cutting into my people.
I was, yeah,
I'm just thinking for public hearing, people might not like that we're doing it on a holiday.
or they could be really rowdy.
Yeah.
Or yes,
I can-
very good
They can do
point.
their pre-partying. before
Very
the
good
meeting.
point, yes, that is a good
All right,
point, yeah.
so, public hearing, 3/24, subjects to room availability, I will confirm. Also, send you a notice, you know the drill, you do not have to do mailings.
That's right.
Right. But we will get the public notice.
Yeah, I'll take public notice, subject to room availability. Brian, if there's an issue, I'll let you know relatively quickly. If you don't, here's the deal though, I'm a little crazy in my office, my assistant is on maternity leave. If you don't hear from me by like Wednesday of next week, you have my permission to call and bug me. It's just, so.
I want to talk to you anyhow about secret and where we gotta go to get a final determination.
Okay, okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your time, Sam.
Take care. Tell Moshe I said hello.
I will, and have a happy St. Pat's.
Thank you.
Oh, that's right. Maybe I'll see you soon.
All right.
Enjoy.
Take care, guys.
All right, take care. All right, off to the next one.
All right. Did everybody peruse the minutes? I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Liz, do you have any other housekeeping that you'd like to discuss, or did we,
Not generally,
we will keep in touch and communicate and try.
and just so everyone knows, John Terry.
I did email, you all got the email. I
So-
did let them know.
Some of that's why there's been a little discombobulation, and you got, Mike Morganti reached out to me, and I kind of just took it over just a little bit, just to, you know, get them on. So I apologize that it came from out of area, but I didn't want John's absence to unnecessarily delay an applicant. They got us the materials, they were actually decent, you know, it wasn't one of those where we got little drips and drabs of
Well,
materials.
it wasn't
We got-
brand new either.
Right, we got nice materials, and we gave them the choice of tonight's meeting, because by the time they reached out to me, it was too late for the public notice. So we gave them the option of, they could have tonight as a meeting to have a hash out, and I think to refine the plans. And I'm a big proponent of coming and having these hash outs, because it sometimes
Well,
leads to
look
good
at what
ideas like the
Jim-
sidewalks.
think about it for a second, if they had reversed it and said we were going commercial on the bottom instead of residential. You know, if we had seen it as all residential, I would have been upset with that. Not upset, but I probably would have
The commercial
drilled
is,
a
so
lot
the
more.
commercial is permitted, because
Right.
there's no square footage per,
Right,
so there's no.
But I'm really thrilled that they're going
I
in
am
the
too.
direction of residential.
and Jim, great suggestion.
So,
That was very good.
we do have to be mindful, we now have 2 applications before us, and we should discuss as part of the record, when we do make an ultimate decision, that we have to talk about and just discuss precedents, because how many of this lots will that affect? I don't think it's that many lots, given how big, this is an unusually large lot
That is one of the largest lots on
in the village.
94, in the village, yeah. on 94.
But we have 36 north, and we have, where they're essentially asking for the same relief, is a variance from the square
But they're
footage.
keeping
Right.
the current house and renovating it, which is a big plus
So this
in
one,
my eyes.
this one is effectively, if I do the math, just so you're aware, if I do the math. It's 48%, so it's over a 50% variance. So it's a big variance, so we have to be cognizant of that and take that and deliberate and include that in our deliberations. All right.
And really think about it and hash it out before we say yes. So
All right, anything else?
When will we be seeing the 36 North Indian anytime soon? Thanks for that, you know where it is in the planning board?
I think they're just going back now, so they've gotta go through the secret, they've also gotta go through the secret process. It just doesn't make sense for us to, if this was a little like, one Peacock where it's a straight up, simple area variance,
That's affecting basically him.
right. You can say, oh, this is a type 2 action, but this is much more sizable. And you may, I'm assuming you want all the traffic studies, you want that information when you make your decision. Because that's all gonna go into your analysis.
So the state does a traffic study, but they don't
Yeah,
deny it, they'll just tell you it's gonna be too much traffic.
no, so it's the applicant's responsibility, if the planning board requests it, sometimes the planning boards neglect to request it, they should request it on larger projects. It would be the applicant's burden to do the traffic study, often that is referred out to, the village will retain a consultant to look at it. The traffic study, in this case, because it is on 94, has to go to DOT, and DOT has to issue a permit for that curb cut, and they may come back and say, nope, it needs to be wider, you need to have a left turning lane.
You need to have two
Two
going.
outs.
Yeah,
You can have one in, but you need two out, so they may say make it wider. Now, the good news is it looks like that driveway's got a little room if they say to do that.
yeah.
He may retweak it to add the sidewalks, things like that.
I would hope he wouldn't have to widen it too much because it's gonna take away from the front,
Scenic part.
the scenic part, that would not be.
And then that would be part
And
of,
opens up.
that
the
would be part of
scene.
the seeker analysis.
Yeah,
Given the nature of the site, I'm not too terribly worried about traffic. I mean, right now, you've got those cars literally backing out onto 94 from that long horizontal driveway. So, all right.
alrighty. Anything else? Make a motion that we close the meeting at 7:35.
Second motion. Turn off the.
Thank you, Jim.
7:35, all right.
For that residential section on